Going on, dudes and dudettes. So yeah, if you check out that nice USC Letterman's jacket, I think that's only allowed to or given out to the student athletes that are on campus, which is pretty freaking awesome. But yeah, somehow any of my family members are able to get a hold of that, where it would be gladly appreciated. So yes, I want to start off with some more USC football news. Their first 3 games this season coming up have been, at least their time slots have been scheduled, and we also found out which channels they're going to be on. And I know the Pac-12 had an agreement with their teams that you have to put at least 2 of the games, whether it's in conference or out of conference games, on the Pac-12 network. It has to be in that contract, whatever. So USC was able to do that with their first 2 games because pretty much they believe they're going to blow them out, and I guess other places like Fox or ESPN didn't want it that badly, even though it's Caleb Williams, the number 1 quarterback and reigning Heisman winner. For some reason, they didn't want it. But yes, that first game against San Jose State is on the Pac-12 network at 5 p.m., so that's pretty cool. That's not too bad of a start time. The second week is going to be Nevada at 3:30 p.m., which is still a little bit earlier, but not too crazy of a time change. And then the third game against Stanford will be on Fox at 7:30 p.m., which is usually Fox's main highlighted game of the week, at least for their primetime slot, because they'll show 2 to 3 games during that same day on Saturday. But looks like they wanted that rivalry, even though a lot of people who have been USC fans longer will say Stanford is more of a bigger rival than UCLA in their heads. But to me, they haven't really been as much of a problem, only when guys like Andrew Luck were there giving us problems while he was still playing. But other than that, I still figure UCLA and Notre Dame, and then it's Stanford, Cal, in that order as far as rivals. But either way, yeah, we got the first couple games and their time slots and where they're going to be playing channel-wise announced, so that's pretty cool. And the House of Victory made a signing, I think it was late on Friday, saying that it was Bear Alexander, or sometime earlier this week. They signed the transfer Bear Alexander, who came from Georgia. Not surprising, but it is kind of surprising because I thought he would be able to accumulate more ability to make money off his name, image, and likeness. But it's a guy like Caleb Williams, I don't think he's been signed to the House of Victory. I can't remember because there's been so many guys I've mentioned from the football team, but his NIL evaluation is over 7-8 million, something like that, solo, so he can get that money by himself. He doesn't need a company to help him. But either way, still pretty cool. They're able to sign one of the top transfers they got in the portal. Definitely very excited about that. And according to 247 Sports, they're doing a countdown of the top quarterbacks going into this season, and of course Caleb Williams was number 1. No surprise here. It's obvious that the reigning Heisman winner is number 1. Definitely looking forward to see what he can do. Like I've been saying, overall, as he's continuing to get these accolades and stuff. He was even most recently at one of the Grand Prix or something like that, I think, for Formula One. He was one of the celebrities there, and he's been doing a lot of good stuff back home in Washington, D.C., building his foundation out there, his Caleb Cares, able to get some stuff going. And, Washington, the Commanders suck quite a bit, so I think if they are able to draft him number 1 overall, I think that would be pretty cool for him. A nice storybook ending to be able to play for a franchise in his own home backyard. So that'd be pretty cool for him. And then, yes, it is the Denver Nuggets versus the Miami Heat in the finals. Obviously, Lakers fans were kind of celebrating a little bit, as myself was, because that just means the Celtics won't have an opportunity to win a championship and break the 18 championship tie that they have with them. But yeah, it does kind of suck a little bit because Tatum was playing well, and I think it was one of the first plays in that Game 7 game where he ended up hurting his ankle or spraining it and still played throughout, but just wasn't able to really push through and score that much. But yeah, overall, it's tough for the ex-Duke Blue Devil to go down, but either way, it's going to still be a pretty interesting matchup. I know a lot of casual NBA fans are going to be as excited to watch these teams, but if you're really into basketball as am I. This is going to be a really good matchup. It has the ability, it's kind of like, a lot of times in a series you can see like the differences of teams. So it could be like if they're just going up and down really fast and stuff, it's kind of like playing checkers, which is a little bit of an easier board game to play, but this is definitely going to be chess. And I know they only played twice in the regular season because they're East and West, but I believe Denver won both of those games, and they're pretty close games. They're back and forth. So definitely looking forward to this finals as well. And it was just kind of also a bittersweet thing to remember that the finals MVPs on the Eastern and Western side are named after ex-Lakers. I want to say is it the Kareem or is it Jerry West? I honestly forget for the West side, but it's named after an ex-Laker. And then the Bob Cousy Award, I believe it is, or the Larry Bird, whichever one it was, is named for the Eastern side, who's also an ex-Celtic. So, of course, both those teams were in the conference finals, but they lost, and their players on their teams weren't able to win those type of awards named after their team or an ex-player of the team. So it kind of sucked either way, but yes, definitely looking forward to this finals matchup. And I believe it was On3 who did a top evaluation of what is counted towards the recruits coming in for 2024, if they are the 4-star or 5-star players in their rankings and stuff. And USC was like a top 10 school. I think they were tied with Oklahoma with having like 67% of the players that are committed next season are at least 4 or 5-star guys. And I think only one of their players is a 3-star, who she actually has the ability to get up to a 4-star, but that's still a pretty good batting average when USC probably only has like 3 players going into next offseason. And I'm going to get into a pretty big list of guys that are actually trending towards USC's ways, but I'll get into that right after this. And yes, sadly, we did find out, I think it was Monday, that the College World Series for college baseball, that USC baseball was not going to be involved, even though they had a pretty historic season, winning 34 games, and 17 of those games came from Pac-12 wins, which is pretty good. I think it was like 4th best in the conference, and I think it's like the first time in the College World Series history that a team in the Pac-12 that was top 4 in their record winning percentage was not invited to the College World Series. So it's a pretty crazy stat, but I think it's just because USC was always never really that good or always going to the playoff system or their version of March Madness. And now that they at least have gotten their attention this year, I'm pretty sure if they have a similar season next year, which I think they can, a lot of the talent that they have on the roster, then I think they will do just fine, in my opinion. So either way, it was a very successful, positive season. Never thought I would be talking about USC baseball on these videos, but yeah, it was pretty cool, seeing their trajectory throughout the entire season. So not that bad. Good luck, guys, and fight on for next year. So the Lakers are interested in acquiring, that's what the phrasing says, of the power forward Naz Reid from the Minnesota Timberwolves. It's kind of surprising. It's kind of weird that the words are inquiring, because he is going to be an unrestricted free agent. So it's not like he's restricted and the Minnesota Timberwolves are able to match whatever contract he is given in free agency. So he could pretty much sign anywhere. Acquiring means like you're going to trade for him. So I don't know why the Lakers would have to, because they don't need to technically. But I don't know. It's just weird how the rights and work stuff, unless the people that wrote that article got the thing wrong or whatever. But either way, I still think he's a good player. He was a pretty interesting player coming out of LSU that I liked for the Lakers a while back ago. And for some reason, every time he plays against the Lakers, it's like his best game ever. So I always say you try to get guys like that the Lakers should sign, who are Laker killers, so they don't end up doing it during the season or during the playoffs as well. But either way, I still think it would be a pretty good signing to have a nice backup power forward / center behind Anthony Davis. And I did another quick mock draft with the Lakers and Atlanta Hawks, but this time I focused on DeJounte Murray, who I liked a bit more than Trae Young, but I know all the news right when the Lakers lost was about Trae Young, but I think I heard someone mention that they could be interested in Murray as well, which is pretty cool because he's only on a 1-year deal, so he's not going to cost that much, so you can make this work a little bit more. But does involve a sign and trade with D'Angelo Russell. So I don't know if that's really going to work, but in this scenario, the Lakers get DeJounte Murray as their starting point guard, which would be really nice with LeBron and Anthony Davis. They'll get a backup center or maybe a starting center in Clint Capella. I think throwing him in there helps out because he is older, makes more money, so they might be more enticed to do that. And the Atlanta Hawks trade away a 2023 second-round pick, so at least the Lakers get to pick something in this year's NBA draft. But then the Lakers send out D'Angelo Russell, like I mentioned, but in a sign and trade, so maybe he won't be asking for that much, but maybe a $20-some million a year, which is still cheaper, I guess, than having to pay DeJounte Murray in the near future, which will be better. Then the Lakers will also trade Malik Beasley. There's a $16-something million contract, so it'll be nice to get rid of that amount, but still get a player like DeJounte Murray. Will be a lot better, in my opinion. I believe I have them trading away a future asset in Max Christie, just because I don't know if the Lakers could wait on him to see how he develops, and plus he was not as developed in his first year, or getting a lot more playing time like Austin Reeves was in his first year. So either way, I still think you could be able to trade him away to give them some hope for their future. But Lakers would have to trade away their 2023 first-round pick and the 2025. I know you can't trade consecutively, and I forget how long still the Lakers' first-round picks are owed to the Pelicans because of Davis, but you can't technically trade back-to-back first-round picks. But on draft night, they say the loophole is you can still draft the player that the team wants and then trade the guy away. So if they do this in 2 or 3 consecutive every other year for this trade to work out, I think it could end up benefiting the Lakers in the long run. But yeah, it's still a lot of first-round picks. But if LeBron is still around, then it doesn't mean they're going to pick players anyways. They're always going to look to trade away those picks for more proven players that are playing right now. So that's what I thought about a DeJounte Murray mock trade from Atlanta to LA. So let me know what you guys think about that. And as I mentioned earlier, On3 has their RPM database or something that they call it, where it's kind of like a crystal ball thing that 24/7 Sports does, where if a player is leaning more towards his school, a certain percentage of him likely going to that school will happen. So I kind of saw that there was a story about nearly like 20 some odd kids in the 2024 class are trending towards USC, or at least a good high percentage of them are, which is pretty cool because a lot of them are talented 4- and 5-star guys. A lot of the 5-star guys are actually a bit lower on the list, like around 20-something% that they will most likely go to USC, but a lot of the other guys are still 4. There were a couple 3-stars in there, but they obviously had the chance to bump up their status to a 4-star at the end of this senior year. So I want to get through the names. It's going to be a lot of reading, but I'm going to read the name of the player, the position, and the percentage of them likely going to USC or not, according to this On3 RPM machine. So when it comes to the highest player, out here in California is Jason Mitchell, the safety at 96.8%. Another California running back, Nathaniel Palmer, is at 96.6%. Another safety, Miles Davis, I believe he's from Texas, is at 92.2%. Marcellus Williams out of St. John Bosco in Orange County, he's a cornerback at 91.2%. Linebacker Dylan Williams from Long Beach, he's at 75.1%, which is only a little bit surprising because I know he was committed to USC a few years ago when he was a lot younger, decided to open up his recruitment, and you thought he was going to go somewhere else, but still has USC pretty much locked up pretty high up there in the top 70+%. So either way, it's looking pretty good on that part. Hayden Treater is an interior offensive lineman, I believe from California as well, at 67.8%. DeAndre Carter, an interior offensive lineman, at 56% from the great Modern Day school out here in Orange County as well, so he'll be a nice guy to get. Justin Tauanu, I believe that's how you say his last name, an offensive tackle from California as well, is at 54.6%. A cornerback, excuse me, Zabian Brown is at 45.2%. He's from Modern Day as well. Jordan Lockhart, the linebacker from St. John Bosco, at 44.9%. Ryan Pelham, a wide receiver, is at 44.3%. Dre'lon Miller, a wide receiver, is at 49.3%. Marquise Gallegos is a safety from 35, is at 35.5%. I think he comes from Chaminade, another Southern California school. Isaiah Rubin, the cornerback from Los Alamitos, another LA school, is at 31.3%. T. Bartlett is a tight end from actually Corona Centennial. He has USC at 30.8%, so that's pretty cool. They always seem to get a guy from Centennial. Dre'lon Conley, the safety from Texas. I remember him visiting pretty recently. He's at 29.7%. And the two guys who I believe are 5-star players, the running back Nathaniel Frazier, who I believe is from Modern Day as well, is at 26.8%, which is pretty good. And then Taylor Tatum, one of like the top 2 running backs in all of the country, and he's also from Texas. It's like around 22%. Yeah, exactly 22%. So either way, hoping that USC can maybe at least get half of these guys. A lot of these guys are trending even higher than 50% as of right now, which is really good. And I know a lot of these guys are visiting in the month of June, which I remember saying like in another week or two, another Saturday or two from now, it's like the big bash, as they're calling it, at like Lincoln Riley's house and all this extra stuff. So a lot of guys did sign in the last recruiting class because of that. So hopefully it will be the same type of good luck again. So either way, definitely looking forward to that. And yeah, quick reminder, if you did last the end of the video, as I mentioned at the top, of that great USC Letterman jacket. I know, I'm pretty sure it's only given to USC students or athletes there, but you can get a hand on it. People I know, my family, you know who to give it to, all right? So yes, thanks for watching, people. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. If I don't.